Malik Grayson had been invisible for so long that people no longer lowered their voices when they insulted him. Every morning, he sat on the same cracked sidewalk outside Mason's Fresh Market in Belridge City. His clothes were torn at the knees and stained from sleeping wherever the night allowed him. His beard had grown thick and uneven. His hair was rough, dry, and tangled. His shoes looked like they had given up before he did. But Malik was not as old as he looked. He was only in his late 30s. Pain had simply aged him faster than time. That morning, the city was already awake. Cars moved up and down the street. Store doors opened. Mothers held their children's hands. Office workers hurried past with coffee cups and clean shoes. Nobody had time for the man sitting near the entrance with a paper cup in front of him. "Spare change, please," Malik said quietly. A man in a grey suit stepped over his foot like Malik was trash on the ground. A woman pulled her little boy closer. "Don't stare at people like that," she whispered, loud enough for Malik to hear. Two young men laughed as they passed. "Bro, he been sitting there since last year," one of them said. Malik lowered his eyes. He did not answer them. He did not curse them. He did not even look angry. He only pressed one hand against his chest and breathed slowly. The pain had started again. It came and went like a cruel visitor. Some days it only tapped. Other days it knocked him down. He had not eaten properly in 3 days. Still, he sat there, because hunger was easier to carry than pride when a man had nowhere else to go. A black car stopped near the grocery store. The back door opened and a young woman stepped out. She wore a simple cream blouse, jeans, and flat shoes, but everything about her looked clean, soft, and expensive. Her skin glowed in the morning light, and her dark curls framed a face that seemed too gentle for the world she came from. People noticed her immediately. "That's Janelle Whitmore," someone whispered. "Reginald Whitmore's daughter." Malik heard the name, but it meant nothing to him then. Janelle walked toward the store with her purse tucked under her arm. As she passed Malik, their eyes met for one short second. She did not frown. She did not laugh. She only looked at him like he was a person. That small thing stayed with him. A few minutes later, Janelle came out carrying a grocery bag. She took 3 steps toward her car, then stopped. Her hand went to her chest. Her face changed. The bag slipped from her fingers. Oranges rolled across the pavement. Then Janelle collapsed. For one breath, the whole sidewalk froze. "Oh my God!" someone screamed. People rushed closer, but nobody touched her. Phones came out first. A woman shouted for someone to call 911. A man kept recording, his mouth open like this was entertainment and not a life hanging by a thread. Malik stared at Janelle's body on the ground. His own chest burned. His legs shook as he tried to stand. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." He pushed himself up against the wall. Pain shot through him, but he moved anyway. One step, then another. The crowd barely noticed him until he forced his way through. "Move," Malik said. Someone snapped, "What are you doing?" Malik ignored them. He bent down beside Janelle, his hands trembling. Her breathing was wrong, weak, fading. "The hospital is 2 streets down," someone said. "Ambulance coming." Malik looked at the road. Traffic was already thick. 2 streets. To a healthy man, it was nothing. To Malik, it felt like a mountain. But he lifted her. The crowd gasped as the homeless man carried the billionaire's daughter on his back. His knees nearly buckled. His chest screamed. Sweat rolled down his face. Every step looked like it might be his last. But Malik kept going. "Hold on," he whispered, though Janelle could not hear him. "Please hold on." By the time he reached the hospital entrance, his body was shaking badly. Nurses rushed forward with a stretcher. "What happened?" one of them asked. "She collapsed," Malik breathed. "Help her," They took Janelle inside. Malik leaned against the wall, his vision spinning. A nurse turned back toward him. "Sir, what's your name?" But Malik was already stepping away. By the time Janelle opened her eyes, hours later, the room was quiet. Her father stood near the window. Her mother sat beside the bed, holding her hand. Janelle's voice came out weak. "Who brought me here?" Her mother looked at her father. The nurse answered softly. "A homeless man." Janelle blinked. "Where is he?" The nurse hesitated. "We don't know. He vanished. Before Belridge City knew Malik Grayson as the homeless man outside Mason's Fresh Market, he was once a little boy who ran barefoot through the soft grass behind his father's house. The house was not big. It had old wooden steps, faded blue paint, and a kitchen window that always stayed open when his mother cooked. But to Malik, it was the whole world. There was a mango tree near the fence, a narrow dirt path behind the yard, and a small porch where his father sat every evening after work. His mother, Ruth Grayson, used to say, "A house does not have to be rich to be full," and their house was full of laughter, full of prayer, full of the smell of cornbread, fried fish, and Sunday greens, full of his father's deep voice telling him, "Malik, this land is not just dirt. This is blood. This is memory." Ellis Grayson was not a wealthy man. He worked hard, came home tired, and still found time to help Malik with his schoolwork. He believed his son would become somebody one day. "Maybe you'll build something here," Ellis told him one evening, pointing across the open land. "A shop, a home, maybe something bigger than I can imagine." Malik was only 9 then. He did not understand legacy. He only understood that when his father spoke about the land, his voice became serious. Then one afternoon, a black car stopped in front of their house. A man stepped out wearing a dark suit and polished shoes that did not belong on their dusty road. 2 other men came with him, carrying folders. Ruth stood in the doorway, wiping her hands on a kitchen towel. Ellis came down from the porch, slowly. "Can I help you?" he asked. The man smiled, but the smile did not reach his eyes. "My name is Reginald Whitmore," he said. "I believe you own this property." Ellis did not move. "My family owns it. That's why I'm here." Reginald looked around the yard like he was already measuring it. "This area is growing. Belridge is changing. Men like you can either benefit from it or get left behind." Ruth's face tightened. Reginald opened one folder and showed Ellis a figure written on paper. "This is more money than most families around here will see in a lifetime," he said. "Sell me the land, take your wife, take your boy, start fresh somewhere better." Ellis looked at the paper. Then he looked at Malik, who was standing behind the screen door, watching. "No," Ellis said. Reginald's smile faded just a little. "No? This land came from my father, his father before him. I'm not selling my son's inheritance." Reginald stared at him. For a moment nobody spoke. Then Reginald closed the folder gently. "Mr. Grayson," he said, his voice calm, "men should know when opportunity is knocking." Ellis stepped closer. "And men should know when something is not for sale." The 2 men stood there, eye to eye. Finally, Reginald smiled again, but this time it looked colder. "Very well," he said. "You have a good afternoon." He turned and walked back to his car. Before he entered, he looked once more at the house. Not at Ellis, not at Ruth, at the house. 2 weeks later, Malik was in school when the bulldozers came. He did not hear his mother scream. He did not see his father holding papers in the air, begging the officials to explain why government men were standing on private land. He did not see Ruth fall to her knees when the porch broke apart. Neighbors stood across the road, whispering and crying, but nobody could stop it. Men in yellow helmets shouted orders. Dust rose into the sky. The mango tree shook before it fell. By noon, The Grayson house was nothing but broken wood, smashed glass, and memories buried under dirt. Ellis and Ruth were handed a check, $20,000. A government man said, "This property has been acquired for development. You must leave immediately." Ruth stared at the ruins. "Our son's things are inside." The man looked away. "I'm sorry, ma'am." That afternoon, Ellis drove like a man whose heart had been torn out, but still had one duty left. "We pick up Malik," Ruth whispered beside him. "Then we figure out what to do." Ellis gripped the steering wheel. "We'll fight this," he said. "I don't know how, but we'll fight." The rain started before they reached the school road. At the same time, an 18-wheeler came swerving around the bend. Too fast, too wild, too late. The crash was heard 3 streets away. By evening, Malik sat in the principal's office, swinging his small feet under a chair, waiting for parents who would never come. His aunt, Lorraine, arrived with red eyes and shaking hands. "Auntie," Malik asked, standing quickly, "where's Mama? Where's Daddy?" Lorraine pulled him into her arms so tightly he could barely breathe. "They had to travel, baby," she whispered. "They had to go somewhere for a while." Malik frowned against her shoulder. "Without saying bye?" Lorraine began to cry harder. Years passed before Malik learned that some journeys did not bring people back, and by then, the house was gone. The land was gone. His parents were gone. Only one thing remained, a faded family photograph, bent at the corners, with a name written on the back that Malik could not stop staring at. Whitmore. Janelle Whitmore should have been resting, but peace refused to enter her hospital room. The doctors said she was lucky. Her mother said it was a miracle. Her father said God had spared her life. But Janelle kept thinking about one thing. A homeless man had carried her to the hospital. A man who looked sick. A man who had disappeared. She lay against the white pillow, staring at the ceiling while machines beeped beside her. Her body felt weak, but her mind would not stop moving. "Daddy," she said softly. Reginald Whitmore looked up from his phone. He was standing near the window in a navy suit, his jaw tight, his face serious like even sickness had interrupted his schedule. "Yes, Princess?" "The man who brought me here," Janelle said. "Did anyone find him?" Her mother, Denise, shifted in her chair. Reginald's face barely changed. "Janelle, you almost died. That is what matters. You are alive." "I know, but he saved me." "He helped," Reginald corrected. "People help in emergencies." Janelle turned her head slowly. "A nurse said he carried me here." Denise touched Janelle's hand. Her voice was gentle, but her eyes were not. "Sweetheart, please don't trouble yourself over a stranger from the street. You need rest." "A stranger from the street?" Janelle repeated. Denise sighed. "That is not what I meant." But Janelle knew it was exactly what she meant. The room became quiet. Reginald walked closer to the bed and kissed her forehead. "You are coming home soon," he said. "That is all we should focus on." But when he turned away, Janelle saw something strange. Not fear, not anger, something tighter, like the mention of the man bothered him more than it should. Later that evening, when her parents left the room, a nurse named Carla came in to check her vitals. Carla was a round-faced woman with tired eyes and a soft voice. She adjusted the monitor, then noticed Janelle watching her. "You want to ask me about him?" Carla said. Janelle sat up a little. "You saw him?" Carla nodded. "He was shaking when he got here. Looked like he might drop right there at the entrance." "Was he hurt?" "Hard to say, but he looked sick, hungry too." Carla lowered her voice. "He kept saying, 'Help her first.' That was all he cared about." Janelle's throat tightened. "Did he give a name?" "No, when I turned back, he was gone." The next morning, Janelle asked for the hospital footage. The security guard showed her a blurry clip from the emergency entrance. It showed a man stumbling in with her on his back. His face was turned away. His clothes were torn. His body bent under the weight, but he did not stop. Then the footage cut for a second. When it returned, the man was gone. Janelle watched it 3 times. Each time her heart grew heavier. 2 days later, she was discharged. Her father sent a driver to take her home, but Janelle did not go straight there. "Take me to Mason's Fresh Market," she told him. The driver looked at her through the mirror. "Ma'am, your father said—" "I said take me there." The driver obeyed. When the car stopped near the grocery store, Janelle stepped out slowly. The sidewalk was busy. People were shopping, talking, laughing, rushing past each other like nothing terrible had ever happened there. Then she saw him. Malik sat near the wall, his head lowered, a paper cup beside his foot. He looked weaker than she remembered from the video. His beard covered most of his face. His hands rested on his knees, thin and tired. Janelle walked toward him with a small bag of food. Malik looked up. Their eyes met. For 1 second, something flashed across his face. Recognition. Then it disappeared. "Sir," Janelle said gently. Malik looked away. "I don't need trouble. I'm not here to bring trouble." He gave a quiet laugh with no joy inside it. "People who look like you don't come to people like me unless trouble is walking behind them." Janelle knelt slightly, careful not to make him feel small. "You saved my life." Malik's jaw tightened. "Maybe somebody else did." "I saw the footage." He said nothing. She held out the food. "Please, let me thank you." Malik stared at the bag like it was heavier than money. "I didn't do it for payment," he said. "I know," Janelle replied. "That is why I came." For the first time, Malik looked directly at her. His eyes were tired, but they were not empty. There was pain there. Deep pain. Old pain. Slowly, he accepted the bag. Janelle smiled softly. "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Malik," he said. "Malik," she repeated. "I'm Janelle." "I know who you are." Before she could ask what he meant, Malik suddenly pressed a hand to his chest. His face twisted, and the bag slipped from his fingers. Janelle froze. "Malik." He tried to answer, but no words came out. Then his body leaned sideways against the wall, and Janelle screamed his name. Janelle screamed Malik's name so loudly that people stopped walking. For the first time in a long time, the man everyone ignored became the center of the street. But it was not kindness that brought the crowd closer. It was curiosity. "What happened to him?" someone asked. "Maybe he's drunk," another voice said. Janelle turned with tears in her eyes. "He is not drunk. Help me." Malik's hand was still pressed against his chest. His breathing came out rough and broken. He tried to push himself up, but his body betrayed him. "I'm fine," he whispered. "No, you're not," Janelle said. "You carried me to a hospital. Now I'm taking you somewhere too." Malik shook his head weakly. "No hospital." "Then a clinic." "I said no." Janelle stared at him, shocked by the fear in his voice. It was not pride alone. Something about hospitals made him shrink inside himself. She lowered her voice. "Malik, please, don't make me watch you suffer." He looked away. For a moment the noise of the street faded between them. Then he gave one small nod. Janelle called her driver, and together they helped Malik into the car. He sat near the window, stiff and silent, like he was afraid the leather seat itself would reject him. Janelle noticed how he kept his hands folded tightly in his lap, trying not to touch anything. At a small clinic on the other side of Belridge City, a doctor examined him. Malik said very little. Janelle waited outside, pacing the hallway until the doctor finally came out. "Are you family?" the doctor asked. Janelle hesitated. "I'm the person who brought him." The doctor sighed. "He has a serious heart condition. It has been neglected for years. He also shows signs of exhaustion and poor nutrition. If he keeps living like this, he may not survive another episode. Janelle's mouth went dry. Inside the room, Malik sat on the exam bed, staring at the floor. When Janelle entered, he did not look at her. "You heard?" he asked. "Yes." "Then you know why I don't like people looking too close." Janelle stepped nearer. "Being sick is not shameful." He laughed quietly. "Easy to say when you've never had people call you useless because your body can't keep up." That sentence stayed in the room. Janelle did not ask more. Not yet. Instead, she said, "You need somewhere safe to sleep." Malik's eyes lifted sharply. "No. You haven't heard what I'm offering." "I already know. A room, food, medicine, clean clothes." His voice hardened. "Then one day you'll remind me of all of it." Janelle's face softened. "Is that what people have done to you?" Malik said nothing. The answer was in his silence. By evening, Janelle brought him to a small apartment above an old laundry shop. It was not fancy. It had one bedroom, a narrow kitchen, a clean bathroom, and a window that faced the street. But to Malik, it looked like too much. He stood at the doorway and refused to enter. "I can't take this," he said. "You saved my life," Janelle replied. "Let me help you save yours." Malik swallowed hard. His eyes moved around the room, then back to her. "I don't want pity." "Then don't take pity," she said. "Take a chance." That night, Malik slept on a bed for the first time in months, but he did not sleep easily. Under the pillow, he kept his old family photograph close, like someone might come and take even that from him. The next morning, Janelle returned with basic clothes, medicine, and breakfast. Malik opened the door with his hair washed and his beard trimmed unevenly. He looked different, still tired, still wounded, but younger than before. Janelle smiled. "There you are." Malik looked embarrassed. "Don't start." "I didn't say anything." "You were about to." For the first time, they both laughed. Days became weeks. Malik began helping at a small mechanic yard nearby. At first, he only washed cars. Then one afternoon, a customer's engine refused to start, and Malik quietly fixed the problem while the others argued. The owner stared at him. "Where did you learn that?" Malik wiped his hands on a rag. "My father." Janelle, standing nearby, noticed the way his voice changed when he said it. But before she could ask, a black car slowed across the street. Inside, Bryson Vale watched Janelle laugh beside Malik. His face turned cold. Then he picked up his phone and said, "I found out where she's been going." Bryson Vale did not confront Janelle immediately. That was not his way. He waited. He watched. For 3 days, his black car appeared near the mechanic yard, sometimes across the street, sometimes near the corner, sometimes in front of the pharmacy where Janelle parked. Malik noticed it first, but he said nothing. He had learned that rich people did not like being questioned, and men with jealous eyes were even worse. On the 4th evening, Janelle was leaving Malik's small apartment when Bryson stepped out from the shadows near her car. Janelle stopped. "Bryson?" He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "So this is where you disappear to." She folded her arms. "You followed me?" "I followed the truth." His eyes moved toward the building. "And the truth is embarrassing." Janelle's face changed. "Be careful." Bryson laughed softly. "Careful? Janelle, you are Reginald Whitmore's daughter. You have a name people respect, and you are sneaking around to visit a man who was begging outside a grocery store." "He saved my life." "And now what? You owe him your whole future." Janelle stepped closer. "I owe him respect, something you clearly don't understand." Bryson's jaw tightened. "Your father and my father have business together. People expect us to be serious." "People?" Janelle asked. "Or you?" His voice dropped. Do not ruin your life trying to prove you are kind. Janelle stared at him for a long moment. For the first time, his love did not look like love. It looked like control dressed in concern. I'm going home, she said. Bryson grabbed her wrist, not hard enough to hurt her, but enough to warn her. Janelle looked down at his hand. Let go. He released her slowly. From the upstairs window, Malik saw everything. His hands curled at his sides, but he stayed where he was. Janelle had not asked him to fight her battles, and a man who had lost everything knew the danger of stepping into the affairs of people with power. But that night, he did not sleep. Neither did Janelle. The next evening, something in her spirit told her to go to Bryson's apartment. She did not call first. She did not send a message. She drove there with a heavy heart and a question she was afraid to answer. The door was not fully locked. Janelle pushed it open. Music played softly inside. Then she heard laughter. A woman's laughter. Janelle walked down the hallway, her heart already breaking before her eyes confirmed it. Bryson came out of the bedroom wearing a guilty face that quickly turned into irritation. Janelle, he said, why are you here? A young woman appeared behind him, holding her shoes in one hand. For a few seconds, nobody moved. Then Janelle smiled, but tears had already filled her eyes. So this is why you were so worried about my dignity? Bryson rubbed his face. Don't start acting dramatic. Dramatic? Her voice cracked. You followed me, insulted someone who saved my life, and all this time you were doing this? You changed, he snapped. Ever since that street man came into your life, you've been acting like you're better than everybody. Janelle stepped back like his words had slapped her. No, Bryson, she whispered. I only started seeing who was really around me. She left before he could answer. By the time she reached Malik's apartment, she could barely breathe from crying. Malik opened the door and froze. Janelle? She walked inside and broke down. He cheated, she said, and somehow he still made it my fault. Malik said nothing at first. He only guided her to the chair and gave her a glass of water. His silence was not empty. It was careful, gentle. After a while, he said, Some people hurt you and then get angry because you bleed. Janelle looked up at him. No one had ever spoken to her pain so simply. I'm tired, she whispered. I'm tired of being loved for my name, my father, my money, my family connections. I don't even know if anyone sees me. Malik's eyes softened. I saw you, he said, before I knew your name. Janelle's tears slowed. Outside, a car pulled away from the curb. Neither of them saw it, but across town, Reginald Whitmore answered his phone. A man's voice said, Sir, I found the full name of the man your daughter keeps visiting. Reginald stood still. What is it? Malik Grayson. The room went silent. Then Reginald repeated the name under his breath. Grayson. Reginald Whitmore had not heard the name Grayson in years, but the moment it reached his ears, the past walked into the room like an uninvited guest. He stood in his private office, phone still in his hand, staring at the wall without blinking. Sir? The man on the phone asked. Reginald's voice came out low. Are you sure? Yes, sir. Malik Grayson. That is his full name. Reginald ended the call without saying goodbye. For a long moment he did not move. Then he opened the bottom drawer of his desk, looked at an old envelope inside, and shut it quickly, as if the paper could speak. That evening, Janelle came home with a softness in her face he had not seen in a long time. Daddy, she said carefully, I want Malik to come for dinner. Denise, who was arranging flowers in the living room, lifted her head. Reginald turned slowly. Dinner? Yes, I want you and Mom to meet him properly. Denise gave a small laugh that sounded polite, but cold. The man from the sidewalk? Janelle's smile disappeared. His name is Malik, Reginald watched his daughter closely. "And what exactly is he to you?" Janelle looked away for a second. That small hesitation answered more than words. "He is someone important to me," she said. The room changed. Denise set the flowers down. Reginald's jaw hardened, but he forced a calm smile. "Then bring him," he said. "Let us meet this important man." The next evening, Malik stood outside the Whitmore house with his palms sweating. The house was large but not loud. Brick walls, tall windows, trimmed hedges, a wide porch with white columns. It looked like the kind of place where every mistake echoed. Janelle stood beside him, wearing a soft blue dress and nervous hope in her eyes. "You okay?" she asked. Malik nodded, though his throat felt tight. He wore dark trousers, a clean button-down shirt, and shoes Janelle had helped him choose. He looked respectable, but inside he still felt like the man people used to step over. The door opened before he could speak. Denise greeted them first. Her smile was smooth, her eyes were measuring. "Malik," she said, "welcome." "Thank you, ma'am," Malik replied. Inside, the dining room was quiet and polished. Cream walls, family portraits, a long wooden table set with white plates and silver forks. Nothing looked touched by real life. Malik sat carefully, afraid to move the wrong way. Janelle reached under the table and squeezed his hand. Then footsteps came from the hallway. Reginald entered. Malik looked up, and the air left his body. The face was older now. The hair had more gray. The suit was finer, but the eyes were the same. Cold, measuring, familiar. Malik stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. Janelle frowned. "Malik?" Reginald stopped near the doorway. For 1 second, his own face changed too. Not enough for Denise to notice, but Malik saw it. Recognition. Then Reginald covered it with a smile. "Mr. Grayson," he said quietly. Malik's chest tightened. The dining room disappeared. He saw dust rising, heard metal crashing, saw his mother crying near broken wood, saw his father's hand gripping a paper he did not understand. "Malik?" Janelle stood now. "What's wrong?" Malik shook his head. His breathing became uneven. "I can't be here." "What do you mean?" "I have to go." He turned and walked toward the door. Janelle rushed after him. "Malik, wait!" But he was already outside, moving down the steps like the house itself was burning behind him. Janelle caught up near the driveway. "Talk to me, please. What did my father do?" Malik stopped. For a moment it looked like he might finally tell her. Then he looked back at the house. Reginald stood at the window, watching. Malik's face closed. "Ask your father," he said. Then he walked away into the night. When Janelle returned inside, her hands were shaking. Her father stood in the dining room, calm again. "Daddy," she said, her voice breaking, "why did he look at you like that?" Reginald sighed like a man preparing to carry a painful burden. "Because, Janelle," he said, "that man is not who you think he is." Janelle stared at her father, like the room had tilted beneath her feet. "What do you mean, he's not who I think he is?" she asked. Reginald looked tired suddenly. Not weak, not guilty, just tired in the way powerful men looked when they wanted their lies to sound painful. Denise stood beside the dining table, her hands folded tightly. Reginald sighed. "I did not want to tell you this." "Tell me what?" He walked to the window and looked out into the dark driveway, where Malik had disappeared. "Years ago, I tried to help that family." Janelle's chest tightened. "What family?" "The Graysons." The name sounded different in her father's mouth. Heavy, old. Reginald turned back to her. "His parents worked around one of my development projects years ago. I trusted them. I gave them access. I gave them chances. And they repaid me by taking money that did not belong to them." Janelle stepped back. "No." "Yes, Denise said, quietly. Janelle turned to her mother. You knew? Denise lowered her eyes. Your father protected you from many things. Reginald continued, his voice calm and firm. After what his family did, I still gave Malik a chance when he got older. I thought maybe he was different, but people like that. He paused, as if the words hurt him. Sometimes poverty does not humble people. Sometimes it makes them desperate. Janelle's eyes filled with tears. Malik saved my life. And maybe that is how he got close to you, Reginald said. Did you ever think about that? The words entered her heart like poison. She wanted to reject them. She wanted to defend Malik. But then she remembered his silence, the way he had run, the way he had said, Ask your father. Why didn't he tell her himself? Daddy, she whispered, are you sure? Reginald walked closer and held her shoulders. I am your father. I have no reason to lie to you. That was what broke her, not the story, the trust. The next morning, Janelle drove to Malik's apartment with red eyes and trembling hands. She had cried all night. She had replayed every moment between them, every quiet smile, every soft word, every time he avoided talking about his past. When Malik opened the door, he looked like he had not slept either. Janelle, he said. She pushed past him into the room. Were you ever going to tell me? Malik closed the door slowly. Tell you what? That your family knew my father. His face changed. Janelle laughed through her tears. So it is true. Malik's jaw tightened. What did he tell you? That your parents stole from him. The room went still. Malik looked at her for a long moment, and something in his eyes seemed to crack. My parents, he said softly. Janelle wiped her face angrily. Don't act shocked. You ran away because you knew. Malik took one step back. Your father told you my parents were thieves. You should have told me the truth. The truth? Malik's voice was low now. You came here already carrying his truth. That made her angrier because it sounded too calm, too wounded, too close to guilt. You let me help you, she said. You let me care about you, and all this time, your family had hurt mine? Malik looked away. Say something, Janelle cried. He looked back at her. Would you believe me? The question silenced her, because for one painful second, she did not know. Malik nodded slowly, as if her silence had answered everything. Janelle's hand rose before she could stop herself. The slap echoed through the small room. Malik's face turned to the side. Janelle froze, horrified by what she had done, but pride held her in place. It is over, she whispered. Whatever this was, it is over. Malik did not touch his cheek. He did not beg. He did not chase her. He only said, I hope one day you find out who your father really is. Janelle opened the door and walked out before her heart could drag her back. That night, Malik sat alone on the edge of his bed with the old family photograph in his hands. Across town, Reginald Whitmore stood outside Malik's building, watching the upstairs window. Then he stepped from his car and walked toward the door. Reginald Whitmore did not knock like a visitor. He knocked like a warning. Malik opened the door slowly, still holding the old photograph in one hand. When he saw Reginald standing in the hallway, his face hardened. You, Malik said. Reginald looked past him into the small apartment. The bed, the little table, the medicine bottle near the window, the repaired fan turning slowly in the corner. His eyes showed no pity. I came to make something clear, Reginald said. Malik gave a bitter smile. You already made everything clear years ago. Reginald's jaw tightened. You stay away from my daughter. Malik stepped closer to the doorway. She came to me. And now she is done with you. Those words hit harder than Malik wanted to show. Reginald noticed. That made his voice colder. Whatever kindness she showed you, do not mistake it for love. Janelle has a future, a name, a family. You have nothing but a sad story and a past nobody cares to reopen. Malik's hand tightened around the photograph. You took everything from my family, he said quietly. Reginald's eyes sharpened. Be careful. No, Malik whispered. You be careful, because one day God may let the truth stand up in front of you. For the first time, Reginald's face changed, only for a second. Then he leaned closer. If you know what is good for you, Malik Grayson, you will disappear again. He walked away without looking back. Malik stood in the doorway long after the hallway became empty. That night, he packed the photograph inside a small box and pushed it under his bed. Then he turned off the light. For 2 years, Malik did not see Janelle. The city changed around him, but the ache in his chest stayed the same. His small work at the mechanic yard grew into a real shop. People who once stepped over him now called him Mr. Grayson when they needed their cars fixed. He kept his beard trimmed, he dressed clean, he paid his rent on time. But there were some wounds money could not wash. Janelle also changed. She smiled less. She attended family dinners, answered questions, wore beautiful clothes, and still felt empty in rooms full of people. Her father told her she had made the right choice. Her mother told her time would heal everything. But time did not heal what confusion had broken. It only made the silence louder. Then one afternoon, Malik heard a familiar voice outside his shop. You still work like somebody chasing rent money? He turned and saw Tasha Monroe standing near the garage entrance. Tasha had been his childhood friend before life scattered them apart. She was sharp-eyed, confident, and dressed like a woman who had fought hard for every good thing she owned. When she smiled, Malik remembered a small piece of the boy he used to be. Tasha, he said. She laughed and hugged him. You remember me? How could I forget? Tasha started coming around often after that. She brought lunch, helped with paperwork, teased him when he worked too late. Soon, people in the neighborhood began whispering that she was his woman, but Malik never said that. One evening, Tasha asked, Is there somebody? Malik stayed quiet too long. Tasha's smile faded. That means yes. He looked toward the street. There was. Meanwhile, one Sunday morning, Janelle entered New Mercy Baptist Church searching for peace. She sat near the back, away from people who knew her family name. The choir sang, the pastor preached, and for 1 hour her heart felt almost still. Then service ended. Janelle stepped outside with her head lowered and bumped straight into someone. A hand caught her arm before she fell. She looked up. Malik. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The church crowd moved around them, laughing, greeting, hugging, but the two of them stood frozen like the past had opened its eyes. Janelle, Malik said softly. Her lips trembled. Malik. There was so much to say, too much, so she said nothing. She pulled her arm away and hurried down the church steps before tears could shame her in public. Malik called after her, but she kept walking. On the way home, Janelle asked her driver to stop near an old fenced property not far from the church. She did not know why the place pulled her eyes, but it did. An elderly woman standing near the sidewalk looked at her closely. You're one of Reginald Whitmore's people, aren't you? The woman asked. Janelle turned. Excuse me? The woman's face darkened. My name is Miss Eula May, she said, and if you got Whitmore blood in you, then you should know there's blood crying from that land. Janelle's heart dropped. What are you talking about? Miss Eula May pointed toward the locked gate. Ask your father what happened to the Graysons. That evening, Janelle entered her father's private study with shaking hands. Inside the bottom drawer, beneath old contracts, she found a folder. On the front was written one word: Grayson. Janelle stood in her father's private study with the folder in her hands, and for the first time in her life, the Whitmore name felt heavy. Not powerful, not respected. Heavy. Her fingers trembled as she opened the file. The first paper was an old property map. The second was a government notice. The third had her father's company name stamped across the top. Then she saw it. Grayson Family Property Acquisition. Janelle's breath caught in her throat. She turned page after page, and every line made her heart sink deeper. Malik's family had not stolen anything. There was no missing money, no betrayal, no crime. There were only signatures, payments, government approvals, and her father's name buried in all of it. Janelle covered her mouth as tears filled her eyes. She remembered Malik standing in her apartment doorway, asking, "Would you believe me?" She had not believed him. Worse, she had slapped him. The door opened behind her. "What are you doing in here?" Janelle turned slowly. Reginald stood at the entrance, his face darkening when he saw the folder. She lifted it with shaking hands. "Tell me this is not real." Reginald's eyes moved from her face to the papers. "Janelle," he said carefully, "put that down." "No." Her voice broke. "Tell me my father did not destroy Malik's family." Denise rushed in behind him. "What is going on?" Janelle looked at her mother. "You knew too?" Denise froze. That silence was another answer. Janelle stepped back like both of them had become strangers. "You told me his parents were thieves," she whispered. "You let me hate him for something your own hands did." Reginald's face hardened. That land was important. Belridge was growing. Men make hard decisions to build something. "His parents died after you threw them out." "I did not drive that truck," Reginald shouted, "but you pushed them onto that road." The room went silent. For a moment, Reginald looked like the words had struck something buried inside him. Then pride covered it again. "You will not take this outside this family," he said. Janelle wiped her tears. "You stopped being my protection the day you made me part of your lie." She left the house before he could stop her. At Malik's shop, the garage lights were still on. But before Janelle could enter, Tasha stepped in front of her. "You need to leave," Tasha said. "I need to talk to Malik." "He doesn't need you reopening wounds." Janelle's voice shook. "I know the truth now." Tasha's face changed, but she did not move. "Then know this too. He cried because of you. He almost broke because of you. Don't come here acting like truth makes pain disappear." Janelle lowered her head. "I know it doesn't." Malik came out from the garage then. "Tasha," he said quietly. "Move." Tasha looked hurt, but she stepped aside. Janelle faced Malik with tears running down her cheeks. "My father lied," she said. "Your parents never stole anything. Your family was innocent." Malik stared at her, breathing slowly, as if the words were too painful to touch. "I am sorry," she whispered, "for believing him, for insulting your parents, for leaving you alone with a wound I helped open." Malik looked away. "I waited years for someone to say my family was innocent," he said. "I just never thought it would be you." Weeks later, the truth came out in court. The next morning, Malik Grayson stood in front of the Belridge courthouse with his father's old photograph in one hand and the truth in the other. He had not slept. How could a man sleep after learning that the shame he carried for years was never his to carry? How could he close his eyes when his parents had been called thieves, when their name had been buried, when the man who destroyed them had sat in a mansion pretending to be innocent? Beside him stood Janelle Whitmore. Her eyes were swollen from crying, but her back was straight. For the first time in her life, she was not standing behind her father's name. She was standing against it, People gathered near the courthouse steps. Some whispered, some pointed. Some had come only because they heard Reginald Whitmore's name was involved. Then the black car arrived. Reginald stepped out slowly. His suit was perfect. His shoes shined. His face was calm. But when his eyes met Malik's, the calmness cracked. Janelle walked toward him. "Daddy," she said, her voice shaking, "you can still tell the truth before they force it out." Reginald looked at his daughter like she had become a stranger. "You are making a mistake." Janelle shook her head. "No, I made my mistake when I believed you." Those words cut him deeper than he wanted to show. Inside the courtroom, the air felt heavy. Malik sat quietly while the documents were shown one after another. The old land papers, the government notice, the payment records, the company approval with Reginald's signature attached to it. Every paper sounded like another nail being pulled from a buried coffin. Reginald tried to defend himself. "That land was needed for development," he said. "The city was changing. Everyone benefited." Malik stood up slowly. "My mother cried on that land," he said. "My father begged for his home. I was a child waiting at school for parents who never came back. Who benefited from that?" The room went silent. Then Miss Eula May was called forward. She walked slowly, leaning on her cane, but her voice was strong. "I saw it with my own eyes," she said. "Ellis Grayson did not sell that land. Ruth Grayson begged those men to stop. They tore that house down like the family. Inside it meant nothing." Reginald lowered his head. For the first time, he had no answer. When the judge finally gave the decision, Malik did not move at first. "The property is to be returned to the Grayson family." Janelle covered her mouth. Malik closed his eyes. For years he had been hungry, homeless, mocked, forgotten. But in that moment, the world finally said what his heart had known all along. His family was innocent. Outside the courthouse, reporters shouted questions, but Malik walked past all of them. He did not want cameras. He did not want noise. He went straight to the land. The gate was old now. The grass had grown wild. There was no porch, no kitchen window, no mango tree. But Malik still saw everything. His mother laughing, his father pointing across the yard, a little boy running barefoot, not knowing sorrow was already walking toward him. Malik knelt and pressed his hand against the ground. "Mama," he whispered. "Daddy, I brought it back." Janelle stood behind him, crying quietly. Then another car stopped. Reginald stepped out. This time he did not look powerful. He looked like a man whose secrets had finally become heavier than his pride. He walked toward Malik and stopped a few feet away. "I told myself I was building something great," Reginald said. "But I destroyed your family to do it." Malik stood. Reginald's voice broke. "And when my daughter loved you, I lied again. Not because you were dangerous, because the truth was." Janelle wiped her tears. "Daddy?" Reginald looked at Malik. "I am sorry. I know sorry cannot bring them back, but I am sorry." Malik stared at him for a long time. Then he said, "I forgive you." Reginald's knees almost weakened. "But hear me clearly," Malik continued. "Forgiveness does not erase the truth, and it does not make what you did right." Reginald nodded, tears falling freely now. "I know." Months passed. On that same land, Malik built a small repair center for young men who needed work, guidance, and a second chance. He named it Ellis and Ruth House. People who once ignored him now came to him with respect. But Malik never let respect make him proud, because he remembered what it felt like to be unseen. And Janelle stayed beside him, not because guilt forced her, because love chose truth. Their wedding was simple, no ballroom, no golden lights, no rich strangers pretending to celebrate, just family, neighbors, church members, and the open land that had witnessed pain and healing. As Malik held Janelle's hands, he looked at the woman who had once broken his heart with a lie, then helped him restore his family's name with the truth. The man everyone ignored had become the man Belridge would never forget. And everyone who heard his story learned one thing: poverty does not make a person worthless. Wealth does not make a person righteous. And sometimes the person sitting on the sidewalk carries more honor than the people living behind locked gates. And that was how the man everyone ignored became the man Belridge would never forget. Malik's story teaches us that we should never judge people by their clothes, their condition, or where life has placed them. A person may be poor today, but still carry a heart richer than gold. Janelle's story also reminds us that love must stand with truth, not pride. And Reginald's fall teaches us that no matter how powerful a person becomes, any success built on another person's pain will one day demand an answer. Sometimes the person society rejects is the same person God will use to teach everyone a lesson. As a creator, I believe this story is not only about love, it is about kindness, family secrets, forgiveness, and the danger of looking down on people because of money or status. But what do you think? Was Malik right to forgive Reginald after everything he did to his family? Would you have forgiven Janelle after she believed the lie and walked away? And do you think love can truly survive this kind of betrayal? Share your opinion in the comments. I would really love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this story until the end. We are a new channel, and your support means a lot to us. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification bell. Your support will motivate us to keep creating more amazing stories like this and help this channel reach more people. Until we meet again in another emotional story, goodbye, my people. Goodbye.